Jump now to meet our guest. His name is Pastor Moses Gashugi. Karibu sana to the show.
Sante.
Great to have you here today.
Right.
And we're going to be talking about why scorekeeping is killing your relationship. Often in relationships, we have this attitude of, what have you done for me lately? Or, but last time I'm the one who whatever, or I'm always the one who's doing XYZ or contributing ABC.
Yes.
And so you find that your relationship slowly starts to get to a place where you're doing things for your spouse only if they've done it back for you.
Yes.
And that's dangerous territory, isn't it?
Very. And it's the expectations we put on one another. So if it's a husband, you have this expectation that because I bought you a car yesterday, and we can have sex the whole of this week. So if she doesn't do that, you feel disappointed. It's because your motive, even for the gift you gave, was attached to something. The other day I was talking with my wife and you're saying, I'm doing this, but no strings attached. This is purely from my heart. Because you don't want to make someone feel manipulated.
Yeah.
I am not doing this to manipulate you. You know, you can manipulate lovingly. I can decide today I'm cooking for my wife because I don't want her to get tired because I want something else in the evening. That's a bit manipulative. We need to look at things like the way Jesus or our Father did, that he gave his son without forcing us and saying everybody must get saved.
Right.
He says, whoever is willing, I have given you the gift. So I'm giving you this gift of love. And it's not that I truly expect you to do something back for me. So this keeping scores of the things we've done for each other, it brings in a sense of manipulation, which is not healthy for the relationship. Do whatever you're doing out of love.
Right.
Whatever you feel led to do for your spouse or your children, even with our children, you do nice things to them. Do you expect them? Tell them, I bought for you candy yesterday. Yesterday I paid your school fees, so please wash the house. You know, we shouldn't do that to one another.
Yeah.
It really affects the mood, the excitement, and people do feel manipulated.
Right. And I guess that brings out then that a true relationship really is about that sacrificial love.
Yes.
Because it's you're doing it without expecting anything
You're not
back
expecting
in return.
anything. And if you do get it back, well and good. But don't use that to get something back, because you might be very disappointed, especially for couples in a relationship. If that is how you taught one another, then there will always be this standard you're trying to meet. I have to work hard to do this because I know my wife will do this for me or my husband will do this for me. And it's always about, it even brings in a sense of competition, that you're trying to outdo one another, who is taking out the other one more, who is buying more gifts. It looks good to outsiders, you get,
But it's
between the two of you,
destructive.
it's not touched on real things. It's on substances. It's on material things. If your relationship is truly tested, then it will not stand the test of time in a long time. When the gifts run out, when the money maybe runs out, when you can no longer maybe take your spouse out as you used to do before, like now with COVID and all these challenges, then you ask yourself, so why were you doing these things to me before? Is it because you had the money? Is it because then I was young, now I'm old, I'm no longer attractive, so you don't do the things you used to do for me then? And maybe I can't give you back what you used to expect from me. Yeah.
And maybe then, because you've mentioned already competition, maybe we can talk about some of the other sort of negative traits that this keeping score business in a relationship actually brings out, you know, between partners.
Yeah. There's also the other side. Apart from the good things, where you do good things, we can also keep scores in terms of offenses. So your spouse offended you yesterday. They asked for forgiveness. 2 weeks later, you're there reminding them, but I forgave you 2 weeks ago over the same thing.
Right.
So if you're always remembering, you know, there's the one you've discussed before, you are using the good, but also you can use the bad. You're always remembering what they did to you and what they didn't do to you 2 years ago. What that does to that relationship, it brings a lot of tension. And then people do feel like they have to perform. I know that as a human being, let's say for me, for example, I can say maybe I have a problem with anger. So last week I got angry and I asked for forgiveness. When I asked for forgiveness, it didn't mean that I'll never do it again. I was just acknowledging that I have a problem, but it doesn't mean next week I may not be angry again. I might need your forgiveness again.
Okay.
So you don't keep reminding me, but I forgive you for the same thing. You know, I'm still working on this thing. Nobody is perfect.
Okay.
Let's not put these high expectations on one another that we are not able to meet.
Okay.
If I'm not able to come home every day at 7, that is my thing I'm working on. So when couples remind one another of these offenses and stuff, it really affects even the joy. The joy is taken away from that relationship, and then there's always a lack of compassion. Because and even if I come to you, you won't forgive me.
Right.
Or even if I come to you, you remind me what I did yesterday.
Yeah.
Everybody is working on their weaknesses. Some change, some never change.
True.
If someone is changing, we bless the Lord. If someone has decided that's how they're going to live, I think you have to learn now to forgive every day.
Yeah.
As Jesus taught us that, forgive 77 times, because someone will always offend you. And your spouse will be the best person to offend you every day, because you're living with them every day. Yes.
And in many ways, I guess also the whole idea of keeping score in relationships, it's already biased.
It is.
Even the score card, score measure, score
Yes.
system, scoring
Yes.
system
Yeah.
is already biased and unfair, because there's many other things that we just cannot track, good and bad. But also, everyone has a different scoring system, because
Yes.
it is your opinion, it is your objectiveness or unobjectiveness to it. And so there'd be many factors that would sort of be associated with trying to really measure if your partner is being good to you.
What do you use? Yes.
Yeah, what do you use? People have different love languages. So to one person, he may not be good because, you know, he's not buying you lavish gifts.
Yes.
But the one who is receiving lavish gifts is jealous of you because your partner is actually there.
Yes.
He's giving you time.
True. And then we tend to compare our relationships with others. I saw what Wahiga did to Joyce, so let me go do that to my wife. You might be surprised. For my wife, she doesn't like flowers. So if I take to her flowers because I saw someone else taking flowers and she's not happy,
Yeah,
I'll be like, man,
it doesn't matter.
no, her love language is different. Maybe it's chocolate or something else. So even understanding one another's love language is very, very important.
Sure.
Because that's how they interpret your love for them.
Okay.
For somebody else, just being home on time, that's their gift.
Means a lot, yeah.
That's their gift, because there's a husband who never turns up. Even with COVID, they always have a reason to be late. So you don't compare yourself with another family.
Okay.
Work out your own garden. And you know, couples know each other. Even if we were to pretend to outsiders, couples do know each other. They know what works out for them and what doesn't.
All right.
Yes.
Well, I want us to take a break right now. And when we come back, we're going to be continuing with this discussion. You can send in your questions to 22999. You can also reach us on Facebook at Switch TV Kenya. And even maybe we'll talk about then what to do when sort of, because you've said, you know, give people a chance to sort of learn. But if you've been giving them many chances
Every day.
and they're not graduating, what do you do with this person?
They repeat the class.
They keep repeating the class. What we do, 22999 is the SMS line. Stay tuned. Guys, welcome back to Full Circle with Joyce, here with Pastor Moses, and we're talking about keeping score in relationships. And there's some messages that have come in, of course, relating to this topic. So let me just read a few as we begin trying to address these. Someone here says, hey Joyce, relationship scorekeeping is not really healthy. I broke up with my boyfriend a while back and he asked me to return all the gifts
one by one.
All the gifts he has ever bought, and told me I was an investment. Wololo. Hey, Mayo.
Yeah.
That's rough.
That is just, that tells you everything he did.
That's petty.
He
though.
had an
That's
expectation.
That's kind of petty.
He had an expectation that was not
But
met.
it's an
so
investment.
It's an investment. It's business. So if I'm not getting the profits, what's the purpose of the
Yani
business?
kila kitu ukaunt tu moja mbili. Hey, that's kind
That's why
of
people
petty.
do prenups, because so that in case we divorce, we don't have arguments.
That's petty though. Oh my goodness. Okay, mwingine amesema gotea pasi, he's a blessing, especially his book. My trust was broken once and I have tried to trust again, but I can't. What do I do? Another says, hey Joyce, thanks for the discussion. To be honest, what you're saying is not realistic. I've lived a life where I used to forgive my partner every day. And with time, ikakuwa mazoea. Eventually, we had to separate because I could not take it anymore. Should we live with such a person just because we have to forgive? Wacha nikurushie tu wewe.
Sasa hata ningependa seme, maybe did she find someone else who is now
better?
Better, who you don't have to forgive every day. I think as human beings, we need to...
That's true.
Yeah.
The grass is never green on the other side.
We need to acknowledge that since Adam and Eve in the garden, since they ate that fruit, sin entered into us.
Yeah.
And from that moment, we became as weak as... That's not how God had meant it to be. And therefore, we became angry, selfish. Everything we do most of the time. You know, that last time we used the verse that the heart of man is deceptive. Someone can even be very nice to you, but they are very deceptive. And you will not detect it. So don't get into a relationship expecting that this is an angel, that they will never make mistakes. In fact, the person who hurts you the most is the one that is closest to you. They will say something nasty, they will do something you don't like.
Yeah.
And so you have to realize whoever I'm with, they have weaknesses just like me.
Yeah.
Show mercy and you will receive mercy. If you show, if you show judgment and criticism and resentment, when you need it back one day, you will get the same measure that you gave to somebody else.
Right.
So I don't know whether she moved on and found someone better, but we will always have people who will hurt us. Yes.
Wow. Someone else says, thank you, Pastor. You've really touched me. We have the same problem with my wife. She's always and constantly reminding me of my past mistakes. Houston here says, my question is, what if you are the partner who tries his best to graduate that class, but it has almost been impossible and your partner doesn't seem to understand you? What should you do? So those two obviously quite related, that they've been maybe making an effort. It's taking a little longer than their partner would like, and they're sort of being judged for it now.
Yeah.
But what's the honest way of actually managing that in a relationship? You know, because as you've said, we're human beings. If this is something we've been talking about for a very long time, like how patient am I supposed to be?
Exactly the way the word sounds. It's patience. And then there's a verse that says that love endures long. We don't want that. No, we don't want that. If I forgive you of maybe cheating yesterday, and maybe it's been your problem before you got married, you had that problem, you to sleep around. It was an addiction. And you're trying to come out and stop it. For you to change, someone will really need to be patient with you. Because they don't know your history, your background, and why you used to do what you used to do. Love suffers long. In fact, it says that love suffers long. It is long suffering. So if you're not going to get in for long suffering and endurance, it's going to be very hard for you. We want love that is quick and transforming every day. But the moment you committed to love this person, you signed a contract to endure their weaknesses. And you know, if you truly love that person, Jesus said that love never fails. The reason it doesn't fail is because you're willing to endure certain things. Solomon said that love covers a multitude of sins, not 2 sins, not 3. It covers a multitude. That means every day there are some even sins you do to one another you'll not even be able to deal with.
Right.
You just cover them and move on.
Yeah.
And keep the main thing the main thing. Have goals as a couple that keep you moving forward.
Right.
If you keep reminding each other of weaknesses, you lose the vision.
And that is so important. Maybe that's a show I need to do at some point. Goal setting as a couple.
Yes.
Because if you are not aligned as far as where you're headed and what is most important, you're going to be so frustrated, and your relationship is never fresh because you just feel like, great.
It's tiring.
Bado ni wewe kwa kitanda. Like you again, you know what I mean? But there's no passion, there's no excitement.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Maybe we need to do that show. But I want to also share with us, you know, some other examples of scorekeeping in relationships. And this is a story that is told, you know, of, say, a couple. And it could be you guys. it says, the first partner says, I bought you that expensive shirt for your birthday and I've never even seen you wear it once. Sounds familiar?
Yes.
And then partner 2 says, well, I gave you an expensive gym membership and you've never even gone, so that makes us equal. And then partner 1 says, but I didn't ask you for a gym membership. Partner 2 says, well, I didn't ask you for the t-shirt. And then partner 1 says, then you should have told me. After all the sacrifices I've made for you. Hapo tu ukisikia your word, then you know things are going downhill. All the sacrifices I've made for you.
Yes.
And I think very subconsciously in a lot of our relationships, we pull out that card. And I think as we talk about scorekeeping, there's also a very real sort of feeling that just kind of comes to life as far as relationships are really about giving.
It is.
And you will give more than you expected to give. You will give more than you feel you should give. And you will often give more than you receive.
Yes.
Yeah. And a lot of people, I think, struggle with that. And maybe that's where we begin to see relationships go wrong. Because we've not found peace with that. We've not found peace with that understanding that that is, in essence, what a loving, sacrificial relationship is.
Yes. We got in because we kept hearing that it's 50-50. So you give, I give. But I think it's Paul who said it's more blessed to give than to receive. When you are used to giving, when giving is a grace, it stops being a problem to you. That you realize that and I think our children are the best example. We keep giving them good things, wisdom, advice, take them to school. Of course you do expect one day they will become great in life, but even if they don't become that, you did your best for those 18 years. You kept giving without getting tired because you're going somewhere. But when it comes to one another, you are like, you're mature. You should understand that if I give you, you should give me something back.
Yeah.
If that happens, it's okay. And it's actually encouraged to do that. Don't just be the one receiving, be the one giving.
Right.
So if your wife is giving you, also commit yourself to giving. But not every relationship is like that. You'll find that one gives 80%, receives 20. How do they live like that for 50 years? It's having peace with yourself that I'm actually blessed giving. If this guy doesn't change, I will stand before God and be like, God, I gave my best.
Yeah.
Even if I move out of this and go to another relationship, there are no guarantees that I'll get something different from that.
And I think those people who live in their marriages that long and are able to celebrate that, even if one is giving, because you're right, it's not always 50-50. In fact, maybe it's rarely 50-50. And there could be seasons where it's 50-50, then the next one you're giving more than she is, or she's giving more. You know, look at COVID and what that has done to incomes in homes. But I think one of the biggest dangers then, as far as this whole scorekeeping vibe, is essentially you're working yourself, you're destroying your own team. Because by scorekeeping, as you mentioned earlier, it's a competition, right? Because you're keeping track of who is ahead of the other.
Yes.
Which means there has to be a winner and there has to be a loser. It's no longer a team effort. So you're destroying your relationship by your own hands.
And one is hurting. And I think people can work, people can have a good time with one another. If, as you said, if you keep the main thing, then you always realize that wherever we are going together, we will need to now, and it's good you have that show, as you said, if you have these goals that you're working towards, then even that giving and taking becomes more constant. Because assuming we're working on a project, there's something you'll bring in as my wife, I'll bring in as a husband, and we are working towards it. But if we're always fighting one another, then you realize now you have to remember, but yesterday I forgive you, and yesterday you didn't come home, or yesterday you didn't do this for me. And you keep going around the same mountain, and you lose the... So you'll find a husband has gone to another town, done projects, maybe with another Chile, they've achieved stuff with another lady, and they are doing projects because they agree more. And you're here, you're still nagging and complaining, and you're losing.
So for as long as you don't see yourself as working as a team.
As a team.
That whole me I give 80 and you only do 20 is always going to be a factor.
It will be there.
But for as long as you say tunaenda pamoja, the same way the body doesn't look at us and say, oh, you know, my pinky is only this small, yet you know the quadriceps are the biggest muscle. Like, you know what I mean? All of them function together to help you be a full and complete person. And I guess that's the way we need to look at relationships.
That's the way you need to look at it.
Yeah.
And we love football, we love games. The way a team works, we all want to score. So it doesn't matter whether you are the goalkeeper, you're the striker, the midfielder.
We're all facing the same direction. Whether we're mbele ama mimi niko nyuma.
So hata kama nimepass the wrong move right now, next time nitapass poa, and we will score. And even if we lose as a team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Someone here is saying sometimes people take opportunities to make more mistakes when we forgive. Okay, Nani, who are people? Who are people dating?
They're nasty.
Wow. Okay. Mwingine anasema I totally disagree, pastor, na si kwa ubaya, but kuna wenye that's who they are, cheaters and liars, and so it's not a one-time thing. People need to change. When they say they are changing and some are not ready, and in that case, when you feel you deserve better, you bounce off. For how long will you sit and wait? And that's what leads to murder. Oh wow. And so forth. Okay. Hey Joyce, I'm Benedict. I had a girlfriend whom I kept forgiving. Hey, all of these questions are about forgiveness. Loving, gifting, and appreciating. Thinking that I would be the best. Aki, believe you me, I met my heartbreak message very, very early in the morning. Guy, kwa message. Savage. And from that, I never loved anyone. I feel like I cannot face the same again.
Life.
And clearly this forgiveness one is a big one.
He gave, and if we were to judge him, he did his best.
Yeah.
But you cannot make the other person become what you want. You have this image of, this is the way I want my wife to be in 10 years. If she doesn't, there's a couple, they're not yet married, and they said, we want to get married in 2023 when our finances are okay and everybody's working and have an income. And I asked them, what if that never happens? What if you never reach that maybe 2 million goal? Does that mean you guys will never get married? You've already set a standard that both of you have to meet. So this guy, you've given your best. You didn't get it back. What else do you do? Forgive yourself, move on. Yeah. If you get someone else, we thank God. And because you see what he did to him. I don't want to trust
to love again. And I was just about to say that I think it's very important that we learn not to let our circumstances change the good in us.
Yes.
Right? So you did a good thing, Benedict.
Yeah. You'll be rewarded
you did the right thing. So don't, despise yourself or put yourself down for doing the right thing. The issue is the other person, not you. And so that when you get into your next relationship, you're still going to do the right thing and even better. I think the problem is when we do this, we kind of carry that baggage into the next relationship, and we realize that we've been just decreasing ourselves. We've been at 100, but by the time you end up at your next relationship, because of your bitterness and doubt and anxiety, you're at like a 70.
So broken to pieces, so you're not whole.
Yeah, absolutely. Someone else says, good morning, Joyce. This topic is really hitting home. My 9-year marriage is on its deathbed because of the things you're talking about in studio. I feel wasted, and I'm asking for prayers and grace to get through this hardest period of my life. There are people who are literally in the midst of this right now, and maybe this scorekeeping has gone on already. This conversation is almost a little too late for them. It's gone on for such a long time that, maybe they have the same sentiments like, and I don't know how we're going to resuscitate this thing. What would be your encouragement to this one?
9 years, that she's tried. They fought every battle they could fight, but it's not too late. I would say it's not too late. There is counseling. You can look for someone to talk to, because I also realize some of the things we struggle with in our marriages, if there was someone else walking with us, first you realize you're not unique. Your weaknesses are not just you. Someone else has almost similar things. And so have someone you can talk to, open up to. Try all options possible before you say it's over. The same way you started, you had a committee, you talked to your parents, your pastors before you got married. Before you say it's quit, try all that whole cycle. Talk to somebody. Some of the things my wife and I have overcome, it's because we were open to someone, and someone was willing to walk with us. It wasn't a one-day thing, it's every day. So, and for 9 years, it means she's endured long.
Yeah.
But there's still some grace in her, there's some love in her, and there's hope even for the partner.
Right.
If at some point they really don't want to change, you would have done your best. And I believe when you stand before God, you say, Lord, I did my best. If they are not changing, they are still cheating, they are still violent, then we have other options. But try your best, talk to somebody, involve maybe your best couple, your pastor, or a counselor, if it is those serious things that make people separate. And we pray that theirs will not end up in divorce. We do pray it doesn't end up in divorce.
Absolutely.
In Jesus' name.
Amen to
Amen.
that. Wow, Pastor Moses, thank you so much for coming on to the show today.
Amen.
Great conversation with you, and certainly I hope that people would be challenged, you know, even for those of you who are single, hoping to be in a relationship at some point. Start asking yourself whether you're that type of friend who's a scorekeeper.
Yeah.
Because we're just giving you a tip right now. You will ruin your own relationship by your own words and your own actions. And to those of you who are dating, to those of you who are married, the same thing as well. Love has to be sacrificial. I think that's the beauty
And love
of it.
hurts.
And love hurts.
Love does hurt.
That's why love is a choice, not a feeling. So you people who wake up today, you're in love with this one. By lunchtime, you're in love with that other person. Out. Just next WhatsApp group. Thank you very much. Next. Left. Thank you very much, Pastor Moses.
Yes,
With that
Thank
said,
you for
guys,
inviting me.
you're most welcome. You're most
Yes,
welcome.
yes.
Do you want to share your handles, by the way, in case someone wants to reach you?
Yeah, on Facebook, Moses Blessed. You'll see my photo there holding a book. On Twitter, Moses Gashugi. And on Instagram, Moses Blessed.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, guys, we'll be back after this.